It is a Friday, 11 a.m. in the Pacific, 2 p.m. in the East. And check local listings forever, your time zones for wherever you are. I'm Ken Knapsack, fresh from a haircut, and this is Anytime with Ken and Alden.
And this is Alden Diaz, who needs a haircut. I haven't had a haircut since early April. I go a long time in between haircuts.
Shaggy. Oh, they're costly.
Very, very shaggy back here. And they get costlier.
Yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
No.
Perhaps we will build cheaper hair salons on the moon.
On the moon. Nuclear-powered haircuts for everybody.
We're going to need one.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. We can work on that after we do the Gilded Age ballroom in the Capitol. That is going to be a phenomenal use of our money. Hello, everybody. Meta Gunner's here. Addie's here. Producer Steve is here. Michael McCarsel's here. Hello, folks. Today we're going to be talking about music.
Yeah.
But first, the all-important question. Ken Knapsack, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. Took a couple days to get up north. And, you know, you get a good routine going. You're working out. You're doing the things. You're editing videos and clips. And you're just chasing the dragon in the dream. And then you go take a couple days off. And then you're like, what if I just never did anything again? So yeah. I'm glad we're doing a show today. Like if you had said I'm not feeling good, I would have been like, all right, then let's take the Friday off. But I'm glad we're here.
Yeah. Oh, that's a feeling that gets more and more relatable as you get older. Like that's something that definitely emerged in my mid to late 20s was the hope that the other person will want to cancel for some reason, and the joy and just like thrill of getting the news that you are now free. Even if you were excited to do it, even if you liked doing it, even if it was something you wanted to see or go to, the text message that says, hey, man, you know, something came up. I don't think I'm going to be able to swing it. You're like, oh, I'm free. The world is my oyster.
I just had that happen to me Sunday. I went to the Forum to see Shinedown. Our buddy Eric Bass, of course, in Shinedown. And this has been talked about for a while. But on the day of, I didn't text Mark Riley. I was like, maybe he'll get, maybe. And then we went and we had a good time. You know, it's always the case, right? Which is always the bummer. Is when you're like, oh, I'm glad I went. Next time I'm going to have to go to.
Yeah. You're always happy once you're in the experience. It's the build up to an experience. Like I'm a person, as we've talked about on the show, you and I both, many of our listeners, pretty much everybody we know has some sort of anxiety, depression, whatever. Where if there's like a YouTube channel that's all people that are like perfectly chemically balanced, it's not this one. So I'm not sure what show that is. But with that comes, I think, a little bit of like that executive dysfunction where if something is later in the day, it's impossible to do something before that. I don't know if you have that at all. Like if I have an appointment at 4, let's say, and I wake up in the morning, all that time until 4, I'm just like, oh, God, I have that thing at 4. You can't do anything. It's impossible.
It was really hard. I used to work 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. when I first moved to LA. And I blame a little bit of my career failings on that schedule because that's my first year in LA. And I just didn't do anything until my days off because I have to work. I have to work tonight. I think I'm a little better now, but I feel you.
Yeah, that's real. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it.
We're here.
Meta Gunner's here. It's like a slot machine in my old noggin. Never know which combination of which is going to show itself. You should get that checked out, Maddie. You should get that checked out. Probably. Let's see. Addie says, I definitely made plans with someone for tonight. And the next day was like, no, I don't want to do that. Honestly, I'm glad I fibbed and canceled. Good for you.
There you go.
Good for you. Canceling plans feels really, really good. But yes, today we're going to get into a music conversation in just a few minutes that I'm excited about. I chose this topic. I'll preface by saying that there's a lot of stuff that happened this week. People standing on roofs, you know, roofs. What is the plural of roof?
Roofs.
Someone figure that out. Is it like hooves? Is it like hooves on an animal?
Someone was standing on it.
Well, it's kind of like how dwarves is not
Mm-hmm.
actually the plural of dwarf, but it is
Mm.
in fantasy. Like
Mm.
that's just a
Yeah.
fantasy thing. I'm pretty sure. Like it's
Okay.
only Tolkien dwarves are dwarves.
Thanks,
So
Tolkien.
it's just a I know it's a whole thing. And I just was looking at that and the nuclear plant on the moon
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ghislaine Maxwell and the attacks on the trans community that are happening. Well, that have been happening, but are persisting
Yeah.
and exploding more this week, especially as it pertains to the military. And I just thought to myself on Wednesday, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I was like, I can't do this week. I was like, I am going to go. Not that I can't, but like I would have come on here, I would have just been bitter, I would have been annoyed, then I would have finished the show, then I would have went to my patio, I would have smoked a J, I would have been sitting there being like, was that show even good? Are we just repeating ourselves? I would have had an existential crisis. And so I am avoiding that. And so I was like, okay, how am I going to come up with a topic? And I thought, well, one of the things that Ken and I, you and I, have always bonded over has been music. Ever since we first became friends, we've always enjoyed a music tangent, music conversation. We make recommendations. I've learned music from you. You've learned music from me. And we both started our careers in broadcast media in terrestrial radio. Real radio. You might have heard of it. And
that gets broadcast up. Yeah, that gets broadcast up to the power plant on the moon and sent out to the world.
It will now. Okay. It will now be nuclear powered radio.
Yeah.
That's the dream. That's what Oppenheimer intended, was for you to hear the new Tate McRae song on the power of Nuke Moon. I just picked Tate McRae. Nothing against her. I don't know any songs by her, but
I know that reference. Okay.
I know she's popular now. So I decided, well, let's talk about music. Let's do an actual music deep dive because it does come up a lot. And last week we talked about the new Haley Williams songs. Chapel Roan's The Subway video came out. Great video, by the way, for those of you that haven't seen it.
Very classic.
And yeah, very classic. You said very 94. This video was smashed in 1994.
Oh yeah, and we would have been, there would have been such a countdown. It would have been like on Tuesday, new Chapel video.
Yeah.
Everyone tune in. Yeah.
I miss countdowns. They might come up today. Who knows? MTV as a concept will probably come up a few times today. And so I thought, okay, let's do a full episode like this. And I crafted a simple 10-question free response survey for us both to answer. Everybody else can play along as well. Super chats, of course, are welcome. If you have something specific that you really want to get in, or if it's off topic, you can always ask an off topic question. I'm gonna charge $50 though if you want me to talk about Disney settling a lawsuit with anybody. I'm just saying that right now. I'm not touching on it. You better pay up, because I don't feel like going down that road either. But for the right price. So we're gonna discuss music. Are you ready?
I'm so ready for this, man. We already got a super chat asking a question about music. We're gonna do this, man.
We do? Okay. Let me look at it and see if it's from Tully. Okay, we might be able to fit that in. I'm thinking of the right place to put some of your super chats as they
thinking of the right place, but it must have been the wrong time. All right, cool.
And then of course we have Maddie Gunner in here, who is a musician. Other people in here. If you're a musician, or if you play anything, feel free to sound off. Let us know. Eli studies music. Eli's composed some music that I've heard. It's very fun, very cool for like some RPG stuff that we've done. So we got a talented crew here. This is going to be pretty general and wide ranging. Yeah. But we're going to start with a very simple question. The first question that I wrote, Ken, is what is your earliest memory of being affected by music?
It would be popular music was not allowed in our house during my formative years. Okay. So I did not have that. I didn't grow up with my dad going, this is the Clash, I'd like you to listen to it. Now, my dad was into a lot of the music in the 60s, into the early 70s. He was two things on his Navy ships. He was the ship's weed dealer, and then he was the ship's illegal seller of music. He would go to shore, get a record, and then turn it into reels, and that's what he dispersed to the guys on the ship. And I actually discovered his entire collection in my grandmother's house after she passed.
Wow.
But he went, not blaming my dad for any of this, by the way. This is his journey. He went to a Christian commune in the 70s, became a Christian, met my mom, and all popular music was thrown out or buried from the house. I didn't grow up with it. So my earliest memories of music affecting me might have been things in the movies. I always go to my first, like, no, it isn't Star Wars. It's Annie. And being swept up in that film, which is funny because people in chat would be like, Ken, you don't like musicals. Yeah, as I got older, I did not want to sit down and watch many musicals. I still don't want to watch people burst into song. But it got to me. I would sing it. It pulled me in. There was some wonder to it. It was about performing. And then there, was a lot of Christian music in my house. My first concert will answer that, but it'd be related to that too. But the first breakout to bring my answer in for a landing. My first breakout. I think I like this. I feel different about this. Like I want to know more. Even though I used to make fun of it, was Paul Simon's Graceland because my dad by then was like, let me get back to the popular music a little bit.
Sure.
And he would play it, and I would. I was pulled in by it, and that was the first what else is out there? And
so it's a great answer. And I love that it had to do with your parents' origin story. I knew, obviously, knowing you, I know about your childhood and stuff, but I didn't realize that they actually met during that experience. That after your dad came out, so that's interesting. And so when you say, because obviously popular music is so broad. So what was in the house? Obviously faith-based. Did they play classical and things like that too?
No. Not a lot of music. Still not a lot of music in their lives. So my dad's like an engineer and a sound guy, and so he built his own speakers. So he would play music in the house to test his speakers. So, but I didn't grow up with it. I didn't grow up listening to the radio. If it wasn't, again, when they were part of a very legalistic church, so any secular music, any of that kind of stuff. Then I did start getting into the Beatles in '87, and that was encouraged. But then it was always with this, but don't listen past a certain year because they got really weird, and we don't condone the weird music. And that was obviously code for drugs, but they were stoned during help. Music. So what are you going to do?
That's interesting. Now, do you have, just as an aside, your mom, probably has a different journey with it than your dad does. But do you remember any music that snuck in? Did she have a guilty favorite that you heard sometimes or something that she liked?
Barbra Streisand. Yeah. Barbra Streisand.
That counts
and then Staying Alive. So I heard some Bee Gees, which is the sequel to Saturday Night Fever. She didn't watch Saturday Night Fever a lot. She watched Staying Alive, the Sylvester Stallone directed sequel. So there's a lot of that. So some Streisand, You Don't Bring Me Flowers Anymore. I heard that all over the house.
Incredible. Yeah, the Bee Gees was huge in my house too. My mom will come up a couple times in this as I reflect as well. And Travolta is my mom's all-time number one man crush, hero, guy, idol. She's a Travolta diehard, and so Saturday Night Fever is in her top few movies, and that was huge. And for me, that earliest memory conversation kind of starts with Travolta, not with that movie, because that movie is deceptively inappropriate. You look at it and you're like, oh, this is a fun Travolta dance movie, and then it's really gritty and depressing, and there's a lot in it that is difficult to watch. I think
New York in the 70s.
Yeah. But it is tied to him. It's a combination of, again, to touch on musicals and how it will tie into movies, because sometimes it's the combination of the sound and the image that stays in your brain, as we know as Star Wars fans and stuff. But Grease is huge. Grease was huge in
Grease is huge in our house.
Yeah, and in my childhood, and just the memory of particularly Grease Lightning, and that whole sequence was insane to me as a child. It's nuts. It's nuts. And we did it in high school.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We did the play in high school and drama, and it was that moment of oh, I've been preparing for this my whole life. I know this.
Hold on. What part did you play? Were you Kaniki?
No, I wasn't Kinnicky. I was because the Broadway Grease is different than the movie Grease. So
Well,
the
that's not
Broadway
fun.
Grease, I know it's weird. The Broadway Grease, all the like side guys have
Mhm.
their own songs and their own little character arc. So it's like in the movie he does
Depth.
nothing, but in the play his name is Roger, and Roger has a song called "Mooning," where you have to moon the audience, and so I mooned
And?
the audience.
Did
And it was
you?
great. Yeah, I did. It was awesome.
Wow.
It was great. We had to
Thumbs
compromise and like do like some like underwear that it wasn't technically like flashing them
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
like, it was
little hammock action going on.
because
Yeah,
there are
good
underage
for-
people that are there. It was
Sure.
a whole conversation.
Sure.
We had a whole
Yeah.
meeting about how much ass could be shown.
Olden, please
during
pull down your pants.
production.
We'd like to see how much ass is going to be showed.
Yeah. So that was huge. And then the you mentioned the Beatles. Probably my core answer where I was like, I think my life just like changed was one of my favorite films is Ferris Bueller. When
Mhm.
they're doing the parade scene and Twist and Shout comes on. He does Donkashane and then goes into
Yep.
Twist and Shout. That Twist and Shout scene with the late great John Schnepp in the far left
Yeah.
of the crowd, who you can totally see because he looked then as he did later in life.
Right.
It is insane, and like it's a lip sync scene, so it's not like Matthew Broderick had to do it, but like he's dancing, he's going crazy. Everyone's going crazy on the street. All the choreography, the construction workers, the businessmen, everything, because it turns into more of a choreographed dance the longer it goes.
Right.
And then it explodes. And I remember just thinking, like, I'd never heard the Beatles before, so I didn't know what that was.
Right.
And I remember asking my mom and one of my mom's friends and saying, like, what was that? Like, that was just insane. And that moment when Sloane like locks eyes with Ferris, and you can tell that like she's gonna love that guy forever. Like it is perfect. It's perfect.
Mia Sara.
It's insane.
I'm glad you mentioned that scene because that was right at a period of time, about 10 or 11. I always wanted to be a performer, but I was afraid to. So I would audition for church plays and stuff, and I'd walk out of the audition. So and my parents allowed that, which I don't think is bad nor good. They didn't have the get in, roll up your sleeves and face your fears, kid. They had the, all right, you're afraid. Let's go take you home and allow you to cower for the rest of your life. Like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But that scene in Ferris Bueller, I just was like, I want that power. And I didn't know he was lip syncing. I was like, great voice on this actor. That War Games kid can sing. But it speaks to the power of performing or being the center of the party or owning the dance floor. And those are things that have always eluded me until later in life with the rum and coke power in me. So I love that scene. That's an early musical influence scene for me.
Yeah, it's well said. Like it really is about like look at how this can bring people together. Look at how one guy can bring people together with something like this. And then also just it was an early look, especially because I was so little, at like how ubiquitous certain artists can be. Like, yes, it's a movie, so no matter what song they would have chosen, in the fiction of the film, everybody would have joined in. But that one happens to be true to life, where like there are some artists that taught me that there are some artists that like everybody knows, that my mom knows, that I know. When you realize that there are people that you share with your parents, I think that puts extra level of importance on them musically. Where you're like, oh, they're forever. Like these people have been around, which is really exciting. I'm looking at Eli has some cool trivia here. Twist and Shout happening because John's voice was hoarse after a 12-hour recording session, so he gargled milk to keep his voice going. It's such a rock and roll story. Gargling milk. That might be the only time that milk is rock and roll, is in that story.
I don't know. Talk to producer Steve and his penchant for ordering milk at dinner.
I saw that. Saw that, Steve. I saw that. I like milk too. I like milk too. And I also have never broken a bone, not because I drink a lot of milk, but because I am not athletic. And therefore have never done things
shower
that I could break a bone for. I suppose, yeah. I've had some interesting shower moments that probably could have resulted in that.
Hey, haven't we all?
Jared from the Nerd Academy says that I made fun of him, that one of his core memories is from his final performance of Titanic, the musical. Yeah, Jared. Yeah. Think about what you just said. Titanic, the musical, is just hilarious as a concept. as a thing that exists. And forget high school, forget memory. I'm talking about the fact that it was ever adapted that way at all is funny to me. I can't hear Titanic the musical with that. That sounds like something they would make up like in 30 Rock.
Yeah, I want to see it now. Is there a performance available?
Apparently, it's very good. I've never seen it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's online streaming.
Here comes the iceberg, it's dead ahead. I'm in it. Let's do it.
Look at Kingsport Cal. Alden's never done anything dangerous. That's not true, man. I've dated emo girls and Latinas. That's dangerous.
Alden has done something dangerous. He's posted threads on Twitter more than 2 posts long.
That's true.
Dangerous.
That's true. I've tried to explain things in the sequels to people, Cal. That's dangerous.
Dangerous.
Jared says it has nothing to do with the movie. It's just a story of the event. That doesn't make it better, Jared. I'm talking about the fact that it's Leo and Kate or not. People are dying.
I'd like that, but I'd like that version. I'd like that.
The
version.
Leo and Kate version, that makes more sense.
That makes more sense.
Historical event.
Hate me like a French girl, please. Let's do it.
Yeah. There you go. See, this is going to be your second act in life. Is producing musicals.
Producing musicals with squirrels as the cast.
And raccoons, as we have learned.
Oh, God.
Okay, so if anybody else has their music memories, feel free to share them. I'm going to look through here to see if there's any that I happen to have missed, and then we're going to move into the second question. Steve says his folks were deadheads. That tracks.
Wow.
You look like the son of 2 deadheads. I say that with love. Just in case it sounds like it is.
Wow.
I mean that as a compliment. You got the long hair, the beard.
Steve.
He's looking pretty. Like Steve's dad looking like Steve does now back then is what I imagine.
That's great.
I'm looking at here. Jared said that he had lots of soul and disco growing up. His mom was all over that era. Earth, Wind, and Fire, Bee Gees, Kool and the Gang. Yeah. And his dad's a hair metal guy for sure.
Wow.
Now, Earth, Wind, and Fire, massive. Lots of Sabrina Carpenter fans discovered Earth, Wind, and Fire this week. She brought them out in Chicago.
I love that.
To do a whole set. That trend I love of these young pop stars bringing out the classics. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. I hate that some of them are considered classics. Like, let's bring out Alanis Morissette to do this or Natalie Imbruglia to do sport. Like, but I think it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah. I think Sabrina's done Duran Duran, Earth, Wind, and Fire. She obviously collabed with Dolly, Olivia Rodrigo. When Olivia Rodrigo brought out Robert Smith, that's when I knew she was a real one. I knew she understood it. I knew she understood the sadness. Maddie Gunner says, I'd hear my granddad listening to Johnny Cash, like Outlaw Country. My nan would listen to Adam and Bowie. Maddie Gunner's grandpa listening to Johnny Cash makes so much sense. Just a young little Maddie Gunner, same hair that he has now, just like all long.
Fighting down at the docks in Liverpool.
Went to the MCR reunion concert. That's going to come up later. Lunacy. MCR is going to come up quite a bit for old Alden. My second question that I wrote here, then feel free to answer the first one, answer the second one. You guys don't have to stay on task. This is not a class. Two-parter. First album you remember being gifted or just given, and the first album you can remember buying with your own money.
I tried to buy Beastie Boys' License to Ill, but was denied. Went well. Yeah, my mom researched who they were and sat me down and said at some of their rock concerts, some of the people sniff glue, and you're not going to be allowed to purchase this music. So fair.
And it's not like her research was inaccurate.
No, it was like a Newsweek article or something, back in the day. First album that I was gifted. That's a really good one. That's a good. I'm trying to. It was probably. It might have been like Harry Chapin's Greatest Hits on cassette. I was gifted Beatles Rarities, the weird compilation, which included the German versions, and that was my first foray into the Beatles. But then I didn't understand some of the music, and it's like, my name, look up the number, some of the weirdest stuff. So I set it aside and was like, the Beatles are weird. But then the first the first album I got on my own was Sgt. Pepper. Back when the CDs were coming out, and I was getting into music, and I went and purchased one for like $11, cash money.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. First one given. was probably, this is a cheat, but it was probably a burned CD, because I came up during the height of like burning CDs, and my cousin Stephanie, who has always been really cool, is definitely in the top 5 coolest relatives, I think, in our family. She's, if I'm gonna be 30, then she's gonna be 40. I think that's how it works out age-wise. And she is super cool, always part of the alt scene and everything. And in 2003, when School of Rock came out, that was game changing, absolutely game changing. Right. For my whole, like, that fundamentally changed my life. I if I ever meet Jack Black, I'm sure he's heard it before, but like, that wasn't just a movie I liked, and it still is a movie that I really love. It's in my favorites, but like, that movie changed my life, because Ferris Bueller gave me the Beatles and a couple other things, but School of Rock, every band in there, for the most part, it was the first time I'd ever heard them. First time I heard Zeppelin was in School of Rock. First time I heard the Ramones was in School of Rock. The first time that I heard, I think that's great. First time I heard Stevie Nicks when he plays Edge of 17 trying to get Joan Cusack drunk, so she says yes to the field trip. Like, I was just mind blown by everything that was happening in that movie. I've never seen the movie. It's incredible, Ken. It's incredible. You would love this movie. Richard Linklater, Joan Cusack's in there, Mike White, Sarah Silverman. Like, this movie rules, and it's about radical acceptance and everything. Anyway, I'm not going to turn this to a School of Rock review. But when I got really into it, my cousin Stephanie was like, "Oh, he likes rock. I'm the only one in our. I have to look out for him, you know."
Yeah, I got to take care of him. She
started making me these CDs, and was just like, of course, with a Sharpie, write on the CD what was on there.
Oh yeah,
and it would just be a mixture of new bands, old bands, bands that she would get into because her parents were and are super Catholic. So there was like some like faith rock in there, like Reliant K and like bands like that.
DC
that
Talk,
sneak in, yeah, yeah.
Jars
and so
of Clay.
It was just like
little Jars of Clay action.
Like, oh, okay, these are different. You could feel that they were different songs, but yeah, I didn't know how yet. And so that was probably it. It's just like any of those. And then I started burning my own CDs and all that. But the first one I bought with my own money was probably either Ozzy Osbourne's Scream or My Chemical Romance's fourth album.
Wow.
Yeah,
for the hard stuff.
Danger Days. The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, which is their fourth and last album.
Now, when you were getting this music introduced to you and your cousins giving you the stuff, it's not unlike the Almost Famous scene with Zooey Deschanel's character, like grabbing her brother and saying, listen to this and here's instructions. I think it's a time-honored thing. And I don't know if that continues today. I don't know. I'm not getting into a conversation about the album is dead. It's been dead a while. But did you feel as a youngster that you were connected to a larger world? That's what I love about music when it hits you like that, is you are suddenly outside your own walls.
100%. And it was that feeling of a larger world, but also a secret one, because that was not in vogue anymore. Like there was rock that was in, but it was going a different way. Like when I'm a kid, Green Day, they're already veterans, that's already like I'm a kid and they're doing American Idiot. So it's like I missed all the early Green Day. I missed all that stuff. I certainly missed a lot of the classic bands that I now love and hold very dear. But at that time, there was that feeling of like we were about to experience the explosion of Panic and Fall Out Boy and MCR and all that. And we had like our Simple Plans and things that were happening at the time. But to discover anything that was considered underground or anything that was considered old was huge. Like she put on there for me things that are not underground, but like were from her parents. So it's like that's where I heard like CCR or like Foreigner and like things like that, and I'd never heard of these bands or anything, and I thought that it was like stuff only I knew. So taking it then to school, it was like I was the one in middle school that showed my friends Champagne Supernova and was like, look at this song that I just discovered, not realizing that it was, one of the biggest songs that that they had and that was ever around.
No, this is the phenomenon that I love, and I am a Beatles fan. That is my number one band, and I share that with millions and millions of people. But in 1987, when my friend Sean hands me a cassette of Sgt. Pepper and says, "Have you heard this album?" I'm like, I don't know. I've heard of that band. My mom and dad like some of their songs. Like, it was unique to us in that moment. It was 1987, but it was like brand new to me. It is organic. It is real. That's with the Beatles, but with any band. Yeah, so you go and I got a little indie hit called Champagne Supernova. Like, that's how it's supposed to work, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was crazy, and like to have your friends react to it and us be so like they could talk about getting high in a song. That's crazy. The whole song they're talking about getting high. They don't just say it once; they keep saying it. It was crazy. Yeah, it was awesome. You mentioned Beatles. I'm gonna skip ahead to favorite band of all time, so you could just dive further into that. We'll go back to number 3, but number 4 is favorite band of all time. For you, the Beatles. How does it start? How has it changed or not changed?
It's changed. No, it's changed. I don't listen to them really much anymore. It is they're so part of me. But like I like Eli's sharing a fact that I love. I used to be a depository of all the Beatles facts I could grab. I used to be able to list every track and the track running order of U.S. releases and U.K. releases and all that kind of stuff. Life happens, life moves on, but they were my foundation. So then I, get into rock radio in the 90s, and it was like exciting to kind of move past the Beatles. And we didn't play a lot of Beatles on the station. We had them there. It used to be a classic rock station. We kind of got into a more modern triple A kind of format, driven by my program director. I like the Beatles too, but I always say this: Beatles are hard to put on a playlist. They're so singular. They're so who they are that they don't go well with other songs. So when you're putting together a playlist and that fine art of putting together a playlist, they don't belong as much. They have to kind of be their own thing. It's very rare. It's very hard to find a song on either side of a Beatles track. But so that's why I started to move past. So I don't listen to them as much anymore. I have some CDs out right now. I pulled out, and it's been fun to kind of re-listen. I just know them with the depth of my heart. But so that's where it all began.
That's awesome. And that's a great point that I never thought of. And you are right. Like you can't even try to get like cute with it and just say like all music from that time in a playlist with them, because even then it's different. You can't really. We ran into this problem too when I started. I started on a station that was classic rock, and I think is now classic hits, which I hate that they did that to the station. But anyway, I don't work there. Not my problem. But it was classic rock, but it was going through a research period and a refresh, and they wanted to do a rebrand, and they wanted to young it up. And they were like, industry standard is classic is 20 years or older. We need to introduce new things to classic and phase out other stuff. So we phased out a lot of the Beatles, Stones, CCR, even some Elton got phased out. And instead you're bringing in Foo Fighters, STP, Smashing Pumpkins, like all of that became classic rock, and Nirvana, of course. And it was, we got a lot of angry calls. We got a lot of angry calls that this is not classic rock. And, but I was used as the, I don't want to say mascot, but I was used as like the sounding board for that, where they would always be like, we have someone on this show that was born after this song came out. So it is classic rock.
I'm on a classic rock station right now, and it's run by a wonderful group of one guy, but one wonderful group of old rock DJs and radio DJs. And so it's predominantly 50s and 60s and 70s. And then, every once in a while, something from like 2000 clips in. And the audience has a weird reaction to it, but it's like, it's 25 years old. The oldies format existed in the late 80s, right? Like I used to listen. That's how I grew up and started to fall in love with all this music, was a quote oldie station that was playing things that was 7 years old.
Yeah. I mean, like in the 2000s, in the 2000s, if you threw on Motley Crue, that was old, and that's the same time difference. That's the same gap. I make this joke, but it is not a joke.
I still think of Green Day, Garbage, Foo Fighters, No Doubt. I still think of those as new bands.
Yeah.
Because to me, that like I was there when they showed up.
That's how it was with when Linkin Park got back together with their new singer. You and I had that conversation where you were like,
right.
Is this important for you guys? Is this a thing? I was like, yeah, dude, this is like one of the foundational bands of our childhoods. But no, I love that. I love that Beatles answer. Have you gotten to see Paul or Ringo in
No, I have not. I've not had a chance to see them perform. And at this point, probably won't. Which is okay, fine. I've you know, what are you gonna do? I interviewed George Harrison's sister. That's
something. That's cool.
Yeah.
George is your favorite, right? I was about to ask
George,
but then I remember.
Yeah, George is my guy.
George, that's awesome.
Yeah,
you have a Paul. I'm a Paul person. Like Paul. There's a funny. It's like 40 minutes long, maybe 30 minutes. Called is it called? It's called Lennon or McCartney. And it's just a documentary where they only ask people Lennon or McCartney, and it goes on and on and on and on. And it's famous people, so you get to see all these famous people answering who they like more. And every now and then, someone really cool goes George, and it's always like, oh yeah, we have to add one
for
to
that
the George
eventuality.
For me, my favorite band of all time, as I mentioned already, is My Chemical Romance. It's MCR. My boys. They are again life-changing, huge. I remember we used to live at this house on Johnson Street in Pembroke Pines, Florida, and my sister was home from whatever she was doing. My sister was a devil teenager, so it's like everything that you think like could go wrong with a teenage girl outside of teen pregnancy happened with her. Like it was just like my sister should have been arrested. You know, the stories that I've heard after the fact. Crazy.
Right.
But she was home. She threw on, had to be MTV. This would have been 2004 because it was new. And it was the music video for Helena, and which is like their huge breakout song from their second album, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. Yeah, June 2004. 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge is that album. And it, took them to the next level. It's their second record. And that Helena music video, which is a funeral procession and everything, I remember stopping my playthrough of whatever I was, the Knights of the Old Republic or Kingdom Hearts or whatever the hell I was playing, and like stopping and staring at the TV. And my sister was like kind of into it, but then she like kind of was like, oh, this is cool, whatever, walked away. And I just stood there and watched the whole thing. And I was mind blown that you could have a song that sounded like that you could have a band that looked like that. The look of a band is huge for me as a Kiss guy as well. The theatricality and thinking like that's not a normal person was fascinating to me as a kid. And Gerard Way, who has the irony being that he's like such a soft-spoken little nerd who like writes comics and like does all that stuff, but like that he could switch into being this androgynous emo running the funeral procession and looking a little bit undead with the red eye makeup and just looking like a corpse, but also having all this energy was just insane. And that band has been there for me and with me through everything, even when they were broken up, and now they're not anymore. And they put out one song, haven't said anything about an album. Then they played an unreleased song live, still haven't said anything about an album, but I feel like it's coming. I don't have tickets for the tour, but it's going on for the rest of the year and all next year too. So I will figure it out. But it is hugely influential on my existence.
And what years that this is the height of emo, right?
Yeah, I mean the height of emo I would say is probably like 03, 04 to 06, 07. Because that album is what launched them, through that glass ceiling. But the 2006 album, The Black Parade, is my favorite album of all time. And that album that's the concept album. That's their Bohemian Rhapsody, let's tell our story. And that album to me is just unreal. And that's the one that they're touring. They're touring The Black Parade. So the tour right now, they do The Black Parade top to bottom, and then they do a second act where they mix it up and do other stuff. But yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
Love it. Love that era. I don't think I've heard one track from My Chemical Romance. couldn't.
I don't know if you would
it.
like them, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you would definitely get it. You would definitely get
Look,
it.
that era, I skipped a lot of that era. That was, we'll talk about change and taste and everything and things I try to avoid in terms of like refusing to change when it comes to music. But that was an era. I was off doing other things. I had a big job switch. I was a late bloomer, so things were starting to happen in my life. I was more distracted, but I wrote for music. Man, I was a music zine writer in the early 2000s for a website called tinymixtapes.com, which was a competitor of Pitchfork when Pitchfork was kind of starting out. I chose the wrong team. I was on the website that lost the war. But it wasn't like I was an old grumpy man, but my tastes were changing. I was going into more roots rock, whiskey rock, as I call it. Big, in 2005 was Neil Diamond's 12 Songs, which was one of my all-time favorite albums. So I was going that direction, and I had a little bit of these kids with their eye makeups and their black hairs, and I missed out on a lot of that. I've since come back. I'm a big fan of The Killers, a big fan of Brandon Flowers. His solo album in 2015, The Desired Effect's one of my favorite albums of all time. I absolutely would kill for Hayley Williams right now and consider her consider myself a knight in her army. But that wasn't until 2 years ago, which is the great thing about music. It doesn't go away. But I skipped while you were putting your eyeliner on, Alden. I was out.
And we're gonna touch on that later about how we've changed. But that is true that you have discovered a lot of this. It's been fun for me when we talk about it, especially with like Paramore and Haley and stuff, to be like, it's awesome that somebody gets to hear this stuff for the first time. Like, because that was the same time that we're growing up with Riot, as like one of the biggest albums. And when Misery Business was the song. Like the way you think about kids in a car, like I'm talking like Wayne's World, Bohemian Rhapsody style. We would get in the car and just headbang to Misery Business, and it was amazing stuff.
Side note, you had mentioned you watched Wayne's World recently again, and I love those movies. And Wayne and Garth were very influential to my late '80s, early '90s. So I rewatched both movies last weekend. Absolutely loved them. Still hold up for me, and reminded me of that was my entry point into Queen, really. Like I'd been aware of them, but that was what is this weird, wonderful song? And all my friends would get into a car and we put in the cassette and we'd act out that scene in real life. It was real. Love that.
We didn't have Wayne's World in our youth culture, unless your parents really got it. But somehow Bohemian Rhapsody made its way into like our middle school ecosystem. I don't know if I was responsible for that or someone else was, but that song had like a second life when I was in middle school and high school. And we would sing it at every friend hangout. We would sing it in the halls. We would sing it at Comic-Con karaoke. Like that song is truly timeless. And, far be it from me to be like, what's the greatest song of all time? I really don't know. There's a lot of valid answers, but that has to be in the conversation, I think.
It still might be Alaska Goodbye by Jeff Buckley.
Jeff Buckley, man. There's a new Jeff Buckley doc, right? Like this year?
It's coming out. Yeah, coming out.
It's coming soon.
Very soon.
Man, yeah. My ex got me big into Jeff Buckley. That was one of her guys. And you do that deep dive, you listen to every track, and then you read his Wikipedia, and you're like, Jesus. You're oh my God. Charlie had a funny comment here about My Chemical Romance. I love the idea of Alden wearing colorful clothes, watching the video, and then is suddenly wearing all black magically. You're not far off from the truth. My mom used to dress me like a little golf boy when I was a kid, and she still got to pick what I wore. I had like different color shorts and things, and like, and then once I got to dress myself, I went down the emo path so quick. I was getting shirts. If I got to go to Hot Topic and buy clothes, that was the highlight of my week. I loved shopping there. Getting an Ozzy t-shirt, getting an AC/DC t-shirt, like that was
love that.
AC/DC was huge for me too, for getting into rock and roll. Okay, we're gonna go back now to number 3. Is your favorite song from childhood still your favorite song? If not, what is it now?
It's impossible to share favorite songs. Like I don't know, like Hey Jude, it still holds up for me. Even when John Lennon,
hot take still holds up.
And and it's the only Beatles song, Eli, with a swear word in it. Y'all know that, right? It's the only Beatles song. Fucking hell is heard in the background. Yep.
That's the only song. Wow.
It's the only official. It's not official, but it's the only recording with a swear word from the Fab Four. It's like about 3 minutes and 3 seconds. You hear in the background John Lennon say "fucking hell." Yeah, there's that, but it's like I wrote an article about this in the early 2000s, and this was a conversation my friend Jay and I used to always have. We used to go music shopping. Like we would on Saturday we'd meet up, we'd drive around to all the music shops in LA and get used CDs and whatnot. Nice. Jay and I lived and still live with the fear that the greatest song of all time for you, which is obviously very personal, is still out there. And that every time I would go into a music store, I had that feeling. It was both hopeful and with a pang of sadness that somewhere in here is a song I have not heard that would change my life. And that still drives me. And that's why I love discovering new music. I love when, you go, hey, you should try this band. And it becomes a song of the moment or the song of the year or the song of the month for you. But we all have our favorite songs of all time. An early memory is the Simon and Garfunkel, I'm a Rock, I'm an Island. And an island, feels no pain. That was, I was feeling depression for the first time. That song was the sound of depression. So that was my favorite song for a long time. I don't know if that's a good answer. I don't know if that was healthy for me. But so I don't have an answer. I do think the best radio single of all time is The Last Goodbye by Jeff Buckley. It is just such a, and I'm not talking about chart numbers. I'm just talking about it's a song loved by a lot of people. Metalheads love it. I've had conversations with people who are like, Metallica's my favorite band. But God, I love The Last Goodbye. It's just a powerful song with a tragic story. So there's that. So it's always changing, right? It's always changing. Yeah. And what's great, it's not just about new music. Bowie's Changes is now a favorite song of mine, and I've always been aware of it. I've played it on the radio, but it wasn't until about 2 years ago, hearing the whole true story of him at Glastonbury in 1971 at 5 a.m., not knowing how to be David Bowie yet, and this was the song he unveiled. And I just like, oh, that's kind of where I'm at now, and that song found me then. So that's the power of music.
That's true too. I mean, you've been the receiver of text messages from me where I'm like, oh, I think I understand Born to Run now, or like I think I understand this now. Like these things that hit you. I think it was the plane ride back from California after Celebration 2022. I let my music just shuffle, and Tiny Dancer came on, and I had the scene. I had the actual scene where I was just like, is this the greatest thing ever written by mankind? Like I was just like, is this like the song that we should be playing like in the halls? Like, like this is, it was unreal. I've heard it a bunch of times. I had heard it tons of times. I'd seen Almost Famous. So it's like, but you can't create artificially the chemistry of when it clicks in your brain. It just kind of happens. It totally changes. I love what you said about the fear of the good fear that it could still be out there. It's like the opposite of like what they say about Alexander. Like Alexander wept because there were no more worlds to conquer. It's like you wept because there were too many worlds left to discover.
Yeah, no, it is, and that's why I used to buy a lot of CDs by just, you'd pick them up, you'd look at the cover, and you didn't know who they were. It's easier maybe now to just discover an algorithm on a streaming service is going to send you a new band, and there's benefits to that. I will say I think I'm a fan of some of that. Spotify has actually brought me new artists I'd never listened to. I got to be honest about that. Even what's that?
No, I would say me too. Yeah, like it has for me as well. Like it
is what it is.
The shuffle, the smart suggestions, sometimes just throw something your way.
It sometimes works, but there's something powerful about going to a record store or even a place like Circuit City that sells CD, or Best Buy, where my friends and I go every Tuesday night because it was release day. And you grab an album, a CD, and you look at it and you go, for me, a great example was Patty Rothberg released this great album in the 90s, Between the One and the Nine, 1996. We were about to start playing her on the radio, but I didn't even know yet. And I just looked at it and I was like, I just something about this album. It's in my hands. The track titles, I'm going to give it a try. And then it turned out to be one of my favorite albums. The Panics from Australia. I picked up their EP at Amoeba one time in about 2002 or 3. No idea who they were. Kind of a little band out of Australia. now one of my favorite bands. And it was all because I just held it and I was like, there's just something about this that feels like I need to take it home. And I miss that. It hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. Jared has here what I think I agree with him. Like it's impossible to decide what the greatest song is again. But if I was working at Rolling Stone and I had to like submit a ballot, you know, I do think that September by Earth, Wind and Fire is probably the greatest song. I think that if there was a song that we had to present to the aliens, like to be like, this is who we are, this is what we can do. Like I that's something I think about a lot is like what we should put together for the aliens. I think if the aliens come, we should show them A New Hope as a movie. I think we should play them September. And I think the only person that should be allowed to talk to them is Guillermo del Toro. I think that he would be a great ambassador for our species. But September is a perfect song. Favorite song of all time when I was a kid, and has been always in my top probably 5-10 is Sweet Child of Mine. I think Sweet Child of Mine is just
GNR?
insane. Like
you going GNR?
Yeah, like hearing that for the first time, especially the opening with the guitar, I was like, this is unreal. Oh, and then remember when they used Sweet Child of Mine as Mickey Rourke's walkout music in The Wrestler at the end?
Yes.
Oh, it's amazing. Oh, it's so good. In the Ring of Honor set. Oh, it's amazing. But yeah, that lately though, again, yeah, like My Chemical Romance is my favorite band. So it's like obviously I could pick any of theirs.
Sure.
Probably Mama off of the Black Parade, I think is pretty perfect. But lately I've been listening to I'll Be Seeing You, Billie Holiday. Might be, I think, like maybe the greatest like romantic song ever made. They use it in Severance, so it's been on my mind a lot. But
right. No, I love that. I love an oldie. Yeah, the true oldie. Yeah. True different style.
Like a real like even the remasters still keep the scratchy fidelity of that feeling of hearing it. Like you feel like you're at war when you're listening to that. You feel like you're like in France listening to a radio surrounded, you know?
Yeah. No, I love it. Yeah. And I know I'm dealing with the rock genre because that's what I am. That's who I am and everything. So yeah, it's always it's hard to answer. I have answered recently that the greatest song of all time is my favorite Mutiny by the Coop, but you know, I don't know if I can't do that when I karaoke.
Sure. Not with that attitude. You could bring it back. Maybe there's a certain level of alcohol.
Words and phrases. Oh, I could. I sing it. Okay, I'm like David Herman's character in Office Space in the opening scenes of Office Space. I know every word to My Favorite Mutiny, and I love that song. And I sing along to it all the time, except for the words I know I can't.
Sure. There's a lot of. I will say this. There's a lot of utility to get out of the word neighbor when you are rapping along with things. So we did number 3, we did number 4. Now we're going to 5. Favorite solo artist. So we're taking bands out of the equation.
Yeah, what do you count as that? Like, yeah, I mean, I am.
I know you meant like, the Killers and Brandon. Like, there's some sometimes like Haley Williams, Paramore. There's sometimes you get that. Sure. Am I counting all of it? But I mean somebody who has always been solo.
Yeah. Look, I Lady Gaga isn't just a phase. Like she's a absolute influence on me. But that's only in the last 3-4 years, right? So it wasn't before that. But she's up there. It's beyond the music for me. With her. David Bowie is the other one. But Bowie was late in the game for me too. I saw Bowie perform in 04, 05 range on his last tour, Honda Center down there. Great experience. Polyphonic Spree opened up for him, 2.5-hour show. Bowie took 5-minute break. It was just amazing. He did all the hits and all the kind of stuff. I am such a Bowie fan, but I'm more of a Bowie fan now. I'm a fan of who he was, his insights, his view on technology, his view on the future, his view on the past. Like I could just sit in some of those interviews that get memed out and shared. I love him. I will always be though a Liz Phair fan. I think Liz Phair was instrumental in my life at a key part of my life where I've always said, and I don't say this lightly or with a smirk, I say this real, like if I over the course of my life have had any understanding or empathy for the women in my life and the women I've pursued, if I have any understanding of their journey, and I struggle to always, because it's not our journey. But if I have any empathy or understanding for it, comes from Liz Phair music. It's generated from the early stuff, into where she is now. Her last album, 2021, Soberish, is great. It was important. It was important stuff because I got it. And I did also write an article about this in 2003. One of my favorite pieces of work I did during my music zine days was looking past the controversy for 2003 solo album, which was, called A Sellout, and she worked with The Matrix, and the record label wanted hits, and Liz Phair wanted hits. She wanted some money. I think it's a great album, and I think it's a great album because of what it was saying. It was a woman in her late 30s following a divorce trying to raise a kid, and there was a lot of songs from that perspective, and it was very smart. Yeah. Exile in Guyville, Whip Smart, all that stuff. White Chocolate Space Egg is probably my favorite Liz Phair album, and I got what she was saying, as opposed to a lot of people in my generation saw her in a slip on the cover of Rolling Stone and went, oh yeah, and she writes songs about giving blowjobs, yeah. And it was so much more than that. I'm forever grateful to Liz Phair for what she did for me in my life.
That's so cool. Somebody hit up Liz Phair on Instagram and send her this link or something. I'm gonna make yourself useful. We got to get Liz Phair now.
She lives locally. Not that I know that.
Not that I know the cross streets. I'm just saying I know she's a rep.
She lives down by the beaches. Yeah. I don't go to the beaches. I don't go to the beaches.
True. You're not going there. Solo is it's one of those questions that's a little bit harder to answer for that reason. Currently, it's obviously Dua Lipa. Current solo artist, it's Dua Lipa because Dua Lipa, in the way that I think people that don't know me well think it's ironic, I also thought that it was ironic when it started because she has the 3 albums, and when I got into her, she only had the second one was just about to come out, and it was the pandemic era was coming or was about to start, and my ex was into her already, and she introduced her to me, not even talking about her music. She was just saying, she was complaining about her eyebrows. I remember this distinctly. She was complaining about her own eyebrows and was saying, I wish my eyebrows could look like Dua Lipa's. And I was like, I don't know who that is. She said, oh, she's the one that does the New Rules song. And I was like, oh yeah, I kind of have heard that. And she showed me a picture of her, and I was like, oh, she's obviously extremely hot. Yeah, cool, awesome, whatever. I hope you can find an eyebrow person that does that. Whatever, great. Yeah. And then she introduced her new record, which was Future Nostalgia, was that album. And she did a performance at the American Music Awards, I think, and then also did the Grammys. And she did this performance of the song Levitating, which obviously became, the big single from that album. And it was when they had her on wires and she flew into the air and it looked all cool and everything. The production was great. And she did the song. And by the time the song was over and she landed back down and everything, I was like, that was amazing. I was like, that was so cool. And I listened to the whole thing and I was like, this is how they used to make pop music. This, I want to dance to this in a club, with a light up floor. This feels so disco-y, so throwback. Then she did a remix of it that had Madonna on it and Gwen Stefani and all these people. And then you start to realize again, what they're about, what they stand for. Her songwriting isn't per her own admission. She said, she's I'm not using my songs as a diary. I'm creating that. But then it's the podcast, and then it's the activism and the festival and the outreach and just the whole philosophy. I realized I was oh, I don't want to be with you or objectify you in that way. Although, I mean, obviously I'm not a moron. This is obviously somebody that is Helen of Troy level hot, but it's the whole ethos of making the most out of life. Always, they joke she's always on vacation. She's no, I'm always working. She's but I refuse to not treat my life like I can always be, enjoying things and finding things and everything. And so those 3 albums and the newer one too, is full of some great stuff like Houdini. That shit rocks.
Love it.
I'm looking at people's answers here. Maddie Gunner says Chelsea Wolfe. Charlie Ashby brings up Mark Ronson. There's a lot of people that have talked about Prince, Jared Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick, who is, I think, the greatest of all time in the rap game. And I've been lucky enough to see, we'll talk about concerts in a later question, but yeah, David Mackay says Meatloaf. That's a great answer. That's a huge Diane, my mother. Stevie Nicks, Kingsport Cal. Eli says Carole King. Eli, I love that you, of all people, were Carole King. Eli, just this little guy down there in college, and he's bumping Carole King out of the dorm room. Like, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Oh man, that ruled.
Yep.
Man,
that's great.
Jay-Z. All right. What has been the biggest shift in your music taste?
For me, it is being a little more open to things that I would previously judge or feel aren't for me. That could be problematic. It can be coded. Speak for other folks. For me, it's just like a taste thing, you know, this and that, and trying to be more open to it, but also to even within the genres that I love. That's why I talk about the mid 2000s. It wasn't that I couldn't have, if I tried, connected with some of the music that you're talking about that you loved, or even songs and artists that I connected with later. It's just I kind of felt all my influences were there, right? I plugged it in. I have my favorite songs. I have my happy songs. I have my angry songs. I have my sad, depressive songs. I know what I'm going to listen to. It is, you know, your favorite SNL cast is your college year. You know, all that kind of stuff that kind of happens in music a little bit. And I had gotten out of it, right? So I stopped writing about it. I was no longer in radio. I was doing other things. So it's like you just kind of put it on the shelf. But I love music so much, and I go for walks, and that's all I listen to. But lately, last 5, 6, 7 years, it just became important for me to remain open to what's actually there with the artist. An example the reason I go to Chaperone as an example. You would suggest, hey, you might like this artist. And I had not heard, you know, she was rising, but I hadn't really paid attention.
Sent you her first appearance on television. So it was right at that break.
So she was already around for a bit. And as far as I know, had served me coffee in the Valley. She was 2021 was working as a barista in the Valley. Who knows? And it was like, first it was like, oh, fun. She's great. I love what's going on here. But it was that NPR concert where I've talked about before of going, oh, this is an artist. And you have to sometimes stop. Don't stop at the door. Don't stop at the packaging. Even if it's corporate studio packaging, which happens. It's real. You have to find what's there. And it might not always be for you, right? But you have to acknowledge that it also comes from my talking about Star Wars and pop culture and other things of just, you know, you don't get to tell me Book of Boba Fett sucks, categorically sucks. It's not true. I like it. So therefore you're wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's just, that's how it works with music too. You talk about ironically loving something. That's why I came to really love the Spice Girls, because it was like the thing to make fun of. In my rock radio days, it was the thing to poke fun of. It was the thing to tear down. And when you're doing that, you're not listening to the messages that are in the music for those that need to hear it. And there was messages in the Spice Girls music. All right. It was not just two becomes one. And that kind of taught me a lesson. And there's also, I mentioned maybe before too, but just that lesson of don't be so above it all. Even if it's a big pop hit. Yeah. And I had a friend of mine who would go on to become a Republican state senator during a complicated time, 2014, 2015, 2016 range. But he was the one who told me we should exchange music.
The Vanessa Carlton story?
Yeah, the Vanessa Carlton thing. And he was just like, shut up. I was there. I was with you too. I knew all the hit bands in the 80s. I was in the college music radio scene. Stop it. It's a good song, and I like it. You don't get to be snarky in front of me about it. And that changed a lot of my things, a lot of my thinking.
But basically I have the same answer as you, just of a different time of I was also very much an annoying, pretentious, shitty little, I only listen to rock, you know, after I discovered it as a child. And then I would sometimes enjoy what my sister was listening to, or I would enjoy, you know, because my sister has a very diverse music taste. My sister dated a metalhead for a while. But when she wasn't hanging out with him, she would listen to, you know, reggae music and Latin dance music and rap and different things. And, you know, through my sister and just listening to the radio just in South Florida, you know, you get into Jay-Z or Eminem or Shakira and all those things. And so I would dabble. But I guess, my shift was finally just allowing myself to enjoy everything that I enjoy. Not everything is it's still hard for me to get into certain things. But I try. I used to say like, oh, everything but country was what I said for a long time. But even that's not true anymore, because I've discovered older stuff, or I've discovered newer stuff like Orville Peck, where it's like, I think Orville Peck's a genius. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like when I listened to that for the first time. But with tying into the Dua Lipa stuff, which kind of connects to your Spice Girls, it was like, yeah, like, again, these are simple songs, right? Like they're not writing like these like truths that will destroy you and rip you, like, like they're about, love and breakups and different things, like, but in that simplicity, you realize like there's a tradition. It's like getting into Dua Lipa opened it up so I could go back and listen to more Madonna, and getting into Dua Lipa opened it up so I can go back to listen to more Britney. And honestly, Britney Spears, especially now in 2025, I have returned to a lot. And part of this, like you said, like there are those factors that are like societal, like the gender discussion of like, well, that's girl music. Obviously that was a big part of it. Growing up as a boy in the 2000s, you just kind of write her off. But also I regret, even though I was a child, I wasn't running it, obviously. But like, I regret any participation that I had in the she's crazy. Look at her. She's this. She's that. Same. She's like, because we all made fun of her. I mean, we were kids, but like in elementary, middle, we made fun of Britney Spears all the time, because we parroted what we heard and what we read and what we were being told by our parents and by the media. And I regret any role I had in that. Not that if Alden Diaz was pro Britney back then, it would have made a difference. But like now I listen to a Britney Spears song and I'm like, this is perfect. Like, this is perfect for what it's trying to do. Like, this is a perfect pop hit. And they're all fun. And I think adding girl music and adding, quote unquote, adding pop music, adding stupid music, adding silly music to the rotation has been huge for me in my rotation.
Yeah,
just enjoying.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, same with me. I've had those moments too back in the day, but we're all guilty of it. We learn. We all bought in. Seeing Lindsay Lohan on a press tour right now, it's like, we all did it to her too. Like it's like, we all bought into all that stuff. What's the next musical frontier for you? Meaning, what's next? What are you hoping to get into? What are you like? I got to check that out. That's tough to. You probably, I don't know. It's just based on the artists and the individual journeys. 898 4M says biggest change for me is going from only rock pop to adding lots of classical, jazz, and blues. Yeah. I gotta have appreciation for that, particularly the blues. I love the history of it. We have rock music because of the blues and the people who played the blues. Like, it's just the history of it. But I'm not someone that's ever just gonna put on a jazz record. Like that ain't it for me.
You don't have like a genre where you're like, I plan on diving into this later.
Nah, because like with country, like I've always loved, because of the mid '90s bands like Uncle Tupelo, which became Wilco, and Sunvolt, which I was in that war. I was a Sunvolt fan first, and then Wilco, and then you can learn to love them both. See, a lot of you kids don't know the Battle of Jeff Tweedy and Jay Farrar. When Uncle Tupelo broke up.
Not familiar with that war.
It's great. It's great. It was a lot of drama in the mid '90s. Those bands into early Ryan Adams, Whiskey Town stuff. Ryan Bingham's one of my favorites. The Weary Kind, which is featured in the picture. Crazy Heart. Ryan Bingham, I love. And he just has got some straight up country. That was I grew up in a country town, which is I grew up with a bunch of Aggies around me who loved country music, and so I think that's why maybe had a little bit of I didn't like it. And then in 2008, I go to Nashville, and I'm walking around Nashville on a Friday night, and I'm hearing all the music coming out of all the bars, and I was like, I kind of get it. I didn't take the deep dive. I'm not suddenly going to Dolly Parton concerts or anything, but like I got it. Like I got it, and so that kind of stuff will hit me now and then. Like a jazz club, you want to take me to a jazz club? Absolutely, let's do it. But if I'm going to go for a walk, that's where I listen to most music. It's going to be my Sad Bastard music.
Be the familiar. Yeah, I get that. I think for me, it's probably wanting to know more about classical, about old stuff. Like, it's because it's like sometimes, like as Star Wars fans, like, and just as movie fans in general, we'll always throw on, your John Williams, or with it being the summer of hope and everything. I've been listening to a lot of the Superman score or Giacchino's Fantastic Four score. And I enjoy them so much that I'm always like, I should listen to the stuff that inspired these guys. I should go back to more 40s, 50s, 60s film scores. I should listen to old composers. Right. And I don't, just because of time, but that's always what I think I like. If I had a month in a cabin somewhere, I would listen to a lot of old classical stuff, a lot of old compositions. I loved here in the comments, Maddie says, listening to post-punk, I hated it until recently. Now I'm all in on New Order, Talking Heads, etc. Getting into Talking Heads is funny that you mentioned that, because I recently watched Mike Mills's film 20th Century Women with Annette Bening and Elle Fanning and Greta Gerwig, and there's a scene in that where, because it's period piece, so it takes place back in the 70s, and where their car gets tagged up with something that I won't repeat because there's a homophobic slur in there, but they're like, what? The mom was like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? And Greta Gerwig's character, who's like cool artsy girl, is like, well, we're Talking Heads fans and they're Black Flag fans and they hate Talking Heads fans, so they've been going around tagging up all the cars of people that are in the art punk scene because they're the hardcore punk scene. And it's like, I wish I could have lived some of that. I didn't want to get like beat up, but it's like, I really do wish I could have lived some of that. We don't do like the wars that happen now are stupid because they're all internet and social media driven. These stan wars and everything, especially between pop girls. But like real like bands that hate each other and stuff, that doesn't happen as much anymore. And I wish it would. It's kind of like the Yellowstone Wolves. Like, we need to reintroduce things to like get the ecosystem going again.
Yeah. Oasis versus Pulp. Let's do it.
And what was that interview that of like 2 weeks ago that like Pulp was like, yeah, they definitively won the war or something like that?
I said Pulp. I meant sorry. I meant Blur. I meant Blur.
You meant Blur. Yeah.
But Jarvis Cocker of Pulp. He was cut in between. Blur. David Albarn said, yeah, they won. They won. Yeah. They won. Look at them now.
That was funny. Favorite concert you've ever been to? We got a couple more.
Favorite concert. It was the guy who played Carmine from Laverne and Shirley at the California Mid-State Fair. My second concert.
What the hell is that, Ken? That's what they were bringing you to?
My first, is that one of your questions? I forget. Are we doing the first concert?
You could do first. Yeah, it's not in there, but you can.
Okay, the first concert I ever saw was Debbie Boone at the California Mid-State Fair up in Atascadero. And Debbie Boone, daughter of Pat Boone, so she breaks in the late 70s with You Light Up My Life, which is a song about Jesus. And so she was from the Christian music scene, and it became big. She was everywhere. Like, that song was very popular. And so we saw her perform. This is probably like 84, 85 range. And then the next night was the guy who played Carmine on Laverne and Shirley. We saw that too. Oh, boy. I am a classic period piece born in the 70s. My favorite concerts, I've been blessed to see Oasis several times and had a blast every time. I think them with Travis was one of my favorite shows at Universal Amphitheater. I've seen Liz Phair 3 or 4 times. The Exile in Guyville 30-year anniversary show in 2023 that I went to with Darina, Frank, and Brian Tiller was very moving. Like, it was not just a, hey, remember this album. I have never felt the energy of a bunch of people, and Liz even acknowledged it on stage, about this was not us coming back to go, oh, can we be young again? It was actually us coming back to go, we are old now. And wow, a lot has happened in these 30 years, and we're all still here. It was very moving. It was impressive how she felt that was going on and tapped into it. But yeah, Lady Gaga at Dodger Stadium a couple years ago now. I mean it when I say it was a transformational experience in my life. Not just seeing a performer put on a spectacular show. And I think the very show I was at is the HBO Max docu concert thingy. I think that's the one.
Chromatica Ball?
Yeah.
That's great. I watched that.
It was being around 55,000 people united in feeling themselves. That was palpable, and it was amazing. And it would not have been something I would have experienced 10 years prior, because 10 years prior I was like, the meat dress lady?
Yeah.
I like cock rock, like that. Final one I'll mention. I've had the pleasure of going to shows. I love it. I was just, Shinedown. I'm backstage at the Forum, so it's just cool being backstage at the Forum. But I love watching them work, even though I'm not a hard rock guy, never have been. But I love Eric Bass with all my heart, and I just connected with him. And when we worked with GPA, and I just think he's such a warm heart. Just to watch them really do their thing and connect with their community. They have a strong community. It's pretty, it's awe-inspiring to kind of experience. But the final one for me, Beth Orton is one of my favorite performers of all time. If y'all do not know who Beth Orton is, go on the journey. Begin in the 90s with her trip-hop folk rock kind of music. She was an indie darling, not a lot of radio play, but God, she's amazing. And I got to see her at the Mayan Theater in LA, downtown LA in 2002. She has a song called Passin' Time, which is about the death of her mother. And holy moly, it was angelic. It was spiritual. It was amazing to sit there and watch that song be performed because it had a song that moved me. So that has never left me. Beth Orton, 2002.
Good year, 2002. You went to see Beth Orton after Attack of the Clones. You were,
it was a few months. Yeah, it was the fall. Yeah, I think it was the fall. I was getting in the Groundlings advanced class right after that. So yeah.
I'm trying to think of my first. Okay, so technically, I think my first concert was the Blue Man Group, but given that they don't have lyrics,
it's more of a performance, maybe.
More of an experience, yeah. It's more of an attraction. I saw and it's funny because Jared brings them up here. Taylor Hicks from American Idol. That's hilarious because mine was not that season of American Idol, but I saw the finalists when they used to tour the finalists as a group from one of them. It was whatever season Carly Smithson was on singing her Evanescence covers. Evanescence was another band that was huge for young Alden on that. Daredevil 2003 soundtrack. Real ones know. Oh, it's the best. That was probably my best. I've been lucky. I've gotten to see some pretty great shows. I love Kiss. I've seen Kiss multiple times. I had to see them on the last tour.
Sorry, Kiss 96, Irvine Amphitheater, I think it was, or down in Irvine. That was a show.
The reunion. You got to see the reunion tour.
Yeah, with Poe opening up for them, and Poe was one of my favorite artists, so it was great.
That's amazing. I got to see them. I saw Kiss solo years back in the 2000s. I saw Kiss and Def Leppard. I saw Kiss and Motley Crue. And then I saw Kiss at the end on the final tour. And we had, it was our program director came in and was like, hey, we got Kiss Tix next week who wants to be the person who goes to the radio station box and hangs out with the winners and the listeners. I was like, me, I want to go. So I got to be there for the last show. That was amazing. I've seen Kendrick Lamar. I saw him on the Damn tour. Insane. My ex is really big into Ariana Grande. So we got Ariana Grande tickets, and I could not possibly give a shit. I was just not hating on her, but
just not you. Yeah.
Whatever. I'm going. This is date night. We're gonna see this concert. We're gonna get dinner, and whatever. Dude, this Ariana Grande concert, she is insane. She's insane. The concert blew me away. She sings that song "Dangerous Woman," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. You're Broadway good." I always, because of the music that you've made your empire off of, I forget that Ariana Grande started on Broadway. That's how she's trained. She has one of those insane vocal ranges and has obviously re-emphasized this now with Wicked, where she's great in it. But so that was great. But favorite is hard because it's also, how it is. There are concerts that you see and you're also, it's it was with a person that you're no longer with. And so you're like, is that really my favorite anymore? Because it's now that memory is compartmentalized different in my brain. We're going to get to that in the next question about movie moments with music. But there's some where I'm like, that might have been my favorite, but then she was there. I don't know. But there was one that is probably the best, and I will probably answer my favorite, that I saw with a coworker from the radio station. And that was Queen and Adam Lambert in 2019. That was maybe the best sounding thing I've ever seen for We. So my coworker, shout out Heather from Big 105.9 South Florida's Classic Rock. She was gonna go with her sister, and her sister couldn't go, and so she was like, Alden, do you want to go see Queen on Saturday? And I was like, oh, I don't have money for that. She's like, you don't need to pay. She's like, I'm just inviting you. She's like, do you want to just come and hang out and see Queen? And I was like, yeah. And it was floor seats, Ken. Floor seats. Like right up on the ramp and everything. Like I was right there. I could have touched Brian May. Like it was insane.
Amazing. Yeah.
Unbelievable show. Just insane musicality, all the hits, everything you want, the giant Freddie hologram to do the AOs. You know, Adam is obviously a different singer than Freddie.
Sure.
So the songs sound different, but if anyone's going to sing them, he's an amazing, fill-in. Like it's incredible.
It's still a wonderful pairing, like in an odd way, but it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. I know what you mean too on, some of the that Beth Orton memory was shared with a girl I was kind of trying to date, and her lack of interest in that concert was one of the this is not for me.
Yeah. You don't get it. You fundamentally don't get it.
I choose the concert, not you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I haven't had that experience, but that does. I know it would break me because even if it's like if I show you a movie I'm excited about and you're on your phone, it makes me want to kill someone, whether that's myself or you. like if somebody's not paying attention to something that I'm passionate about, even if they don't like it, just like give it its due. Like be there with me and then tell me after if it worked or not. But like it just that drives me crazy. That's hard. Having the right people with you at a concert is so essential. People that will be in it, but like not doing too much stupid shit, but like know when to stand, know when to sit. And like, it's like, there's a vibe. And also like, I'm not a scream along the lyrics, sing along. Sure. But like, I think there's too much screaming. Like now people post videos of like, especially with like the modern pop icons, like Sabrina Carpenter or whatever. And it's like, it'll be like, oh, video of Sabrina and Earth, Wind & Fire. And I click it to watch and I can't hear them because the person with their phone is screaming the lyrics. And so it's just,
I know. I feel
that's difficult. Second to last, have you lived any movie moments where the right song was playing at the perfect moment?
Yeah, a lot. I know. Is this just Cusack with a boombox over his head moments? Or are you like...
Look, it could be things that you did, but if there are any ones where you didn't do it yourself and it was just happened to be playing, those are even rarer. Because you and I are classic romantics. We make this shit happen. We're both guilty of the I'm going to pick the song for the moment.
I used to king of the mixtapes and mix CDs, and now I don't have a romantic bone in my body. I don't. I've given at the end, as they said. A couple moments come to mind. As the drunk uncle that I am, I may have shared them before, so let me know if I have. Quitting my job in 2015 after 17 years, and as easy as it was to do, it was also hard because it was my life, and there was blood, sweat, and tears on the tracks, and people I was leaving behind, both in the past and in the very moment. That the relationships would never be the same again, and it includes a romantic relationship that had been there for 5 years. So it was, I'm leaving. I'm going to go join Screen Junkies. It's going to be great, but also, man, this is bizarre. And I'm driving off like on a Friday to 5 o'clock, and not joking. This is why, as much as sometimes I will fight the organized church, I also acknowledge there's some kind of spiritual thing I can't fully understand. I was turning right onto the street to leave the property, and I took a photo of the Northridge Fashion Center thing just to it's funny. And on the radio station, listen to 88.5 KCSN, which is under threat of going away because part of their funding got taken away. Public broadcasting.
Well, we need that money for the moon reactor.
For the moon reactor. A band called Boy, I think they're French women, have a song called We Were Here. And as I'm pulling off, the song starts playing, and like the DJ's like, all right, new song from Boy, We Were Here. So I hear it, and it is this, I won't even go through the lyrics, but it's this song about we leave our traces everywhere. We're here. Or, we walked around like kings. And I was blown away, started bawling. It's one of my favorite songs to this day because I just like I needed to hear that song at that exact moment. How does that happen? Like, how does that fucking happen? And it is just amazing moment. I'll never forget. Quick one on my first serious relationship ended in a very quick 2.5 months, as it should have. It probably should have ended 2 weeks in, but it went 2.5 months. And we had a screaming turned to crying, turned to I gotta go. And I think one of the things I learned is as you get older is breakups outside of any bad things happening, and when there's situations where the breakup is born out of some trauma that happens or actions. But if it's just a normal breakup, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Especially guys, you should be able to pack up your brain and leave. Let them have that moment. Let yourself have that moment. I am in a good headspace on even my situation in my own life. Back then I wasn't. I was crying and I was like, should we do this? I was like, yeah, it's 2.5 months and she's a meth addict who stole your car to go to her drug dealer's house. Like, you got to leave, Ken. And it's pouring rain, Alden. It's like LA rain, the heavy rain when it hits. I'm on Sepulveda Boulevard down by LAX and the UCLA grad housing. And I get in my car and I'm crying. I can't believe this relationship's over. And then I just stopped. It just stopped. And U2's One Step Closer comes on, and I'm a big U2 fan, and none of you can take that band away from me, though a lot of you try sometimes. I'm sorry they gave you a free album that none of us liked. Sorry. But YouTube's one...
God forbid.
Yeah, YouTube's One Step Closer, which is a song born out of a conversation with Bono and Noel Gallagher about Bono's dad passing and questions of the afterlife. And kind of one of them, maybe Noel Gallagher says, is there, they're talking about, is there a heaven? Is this that? And it's like, Noel's like, well, we're all one step closer to knowing. And that becomes this wonderful song that I needed to hear in that moment to be like, this relationship is just, it's always about what's next. And what are you going to learn from it? What are you taking from it? And we're all one step closer to knowing what we need next. And I just I stopped crying. I drove up the street and it was a powerful moment for me. I'll end.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's so good. I've been loving some of the comments here too. Poor Chris here. Chris Kiefer wrote, I got back to my desk after getting laid. Now he meant to write laid off, but it completely changed this guy's whole story. His whole story got altered. And we all agree that the first story is canon. Unfortunately. Chris, you got laid, man. Good for you. No, but really, I'm sorry you got laid off, but that is a good song to show up. Yeah. I mean, like you said, like so many of them are tied to like the romance, the breakups, whatever. I will say, even though it didn't work out, had a relationship where the first time that we kissed was the Come Sail Away was playing, and it was like it felt like the end of like Freaks and Geeks when they dance at the end of the first Freaks and Geeks.
It's like a Cameron Crowe movie.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Like you're kissing and we close in on your eyes. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So like that's happened to me before. There have been some that have just been like, sometimes it's sad. Like sometimes I become John Goodman. What's that David Byrne movie? That movie that David Byrne made that has John Goodman in it. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh man, drawing a blank there.
But John Goodman, the post goes around a lot where John Goodman says, "I like sad songs. They make me want to lie down on the floor." Like that's how I feel sometimes. And sometimes like the right sad one will catch you at the right moment. The Last Dinner Party has a song that when I was first getting into them, I was depressed about something. I don't know, because of course I am over the past couple of years. And they have a song called On Your Side, which I was just like, I was like, this is exactly how it feels. And sometimes the lack of reciprocity, like you're missing somebody and all this stuff. So yeah, I've had a few of those over the years that have hit at the right time. I remember graduating high school and there was somebody that I was really close with in high school, and then some stuff happened. And the year after high school, some stuff happened. A year after that, we didn't really speak, but then we fixed it and we started speaking again. And the first time that we got back into the car together, and it was Misery Business. The first time we heard Misery Business together, it was like we locked back into our previous friendship, and that moment like healed things. Was the breakdown of Misery Business has the drum part of the, and like that was something that we would always like pantomime together. And when we both did it, like no time had passed, I was like, oh, our friendship is healed. Like, because we both still like this.
There you go. You know? God bless Haley.
She really has just been there for me my entire life, and which is funny because she's not old. So it's like just that she started so young that we've gotten already like 20 years of Haley Williams. Yeah. But she's in her 30s. So it's like we're going to get Haley Williams for another 20, 30 years after this.
A lifetime.
Incredible. It's a blessing. And then finally, she might be the answer to this question. What musical artist would you invite on this show if we could book anyone without a hassle? No difficulty.
This is who would you have at dinner? Living or dead, who would you have at dinner? I don't know. It'd still be probably Liz Phair because I have a lot of things I want to say, but I don't know if I can get them out. I don't know if I can get them out. I don't know. Like, I'd go for the big ones too. I'd love to have a conversation with Bono. I'd love to have a conversation with Dave Evans, Edge. I think it's his birthday today, actually. Absolutely would. Yeah, of course, Paul and Ringo. I'd love to talk about Ringo here. I can even do the clip now. There we go.
Peace and love, peace and love. I'm warning you with peace and love, but I have too much to do.
Is that the No More Fan Mail? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's the No More Fan Mail. I wouldn't want. Here's the thing. Maddie says I'm dying to see me interview Liam or no, I wouldn't want to. I think that'd be a case of don't meet your I don't even call them heroes. Noel says a lot of things I think are just dumb. He's a what politics don't matter type of guy. His daughter isn't, which is interesting to watch her if you follow her on Instagram. She's not that, but she's at all the shows.
They might even if they're cool to you, they might shit on something that you like, or they might like. There's too many landmines.
And I can live with it. Like Noel doesn't offend me with that stuff. He said, there's no expectation I have of him being politically active. Like it just never was. Yeah. That's not why I'm buying the ticket to Oasis. But it's like the Paul Westerberg thing. Paul Westerberg's one of my all-time favorites. The Replacements, everything. There's infamous stories of him. You do not want to even run into him, let alone interview him on the show. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So I don't know.
People have already said in the comments here how funny it would be to have Dua Lipa on the show. I do legit think that Dua Lipa and I would tear it up on a podcast together because, again, I cannot emphasize enough her podcast, the Service 95 interviews and the book club, is legitimately excellent. She is not a celebrity just doing a show. That woman reads. They're talking about genocide. They're talking about famine. They're talking about race. There's so much that is on that show. We'd probably tear it up, talking about books, talking about culture, talking about life.
I want to see that happen because I have that same feeling about I just need 10 minutes with Amelia Clark at a restaurant on a podcast. I just need 10 minutes and she'll get me. And she'll get me.
That's bigger than that because that's higher stakes because Dua Lipa's engaged. So it's like that's not even part of the conversation.
I know it's a different category.
The Amelia Clark Ken Knapsack link up, if it can happen, could change everything. That could change everything.
Wait till you all see. I got a clip a stand-up clip that's coming out soon. It's all about this.
I cannot wait. I really can't wait for that. That's funny. I mean, Dua Lipa, it could be. At the risk of summoning Scotty J. Rowe, having Paul Stanley on anytime would be funny, just because he's funny, but not in the way that he thinks he is. Like, I think that him and Gene are funny creatures. They're just like these funny beings that exist.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, they're so like odd. Like, there's never been a band that I think has been made up of 4 weirdos as much as Kiss. Like, they're not actually cool. None of them. They're not. No. Like, they don't come off cool. They're hokey, like they're like Paul Stanley's Puma sneakers are ugly. I would want to wear them because they're his. Like there's something gauche about the way that they act.
Yeah,
just in general.
They are the poster children for just act like you're cool and the world will believe you.
Yeah.
Just we're the hottest band in the world from the word go. And we all should take lessons from that. Start at the level of success and people will believe it.
Yeah.
I'd be fascinated. I would actually talk to them. And Gene's a problem.
Gene's
interesting.
He's an interesting cat. Would you want to have Gaga on this show if we could?
Absolutely. There's 59 answers to this question, just depending on the mood. But I wouldn't want it to be. I want it to be a casual kind of podcast. To actually get into the weeds.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
great.
I know there's one that's going to jump out at me where I'm going to be like, no, we should have said this person, as if I'm actually booking people. Musical art. John Williams. That's a cheat. That's a fun cheat. I would love to talk to John Williams.
Get in there now.
If anybody has anything last minute they want to throw into their chat, now's the time, because I'm going to knock out these super chats. And then we'll be about done. Maddie says Trent Reznor. That'd be interesting. Trent Reznor would be interesting to talk to. Tully had a super chat earlier. I forgot to place it in relevance to something, but
you did.
Tully said, what happened to dudes in music? Do guys have nothing to say anymore? Have we been reduced to mumble rapping nonsense? In some cases, yes. A lot of new rappers do suck. So you're not wrong about that. However, I do think, Tully, that you're just not looking in the right places, because dudes do rear their head. Like I said with Orville Peck, he's a newer male artist who's come around, but you have to go over to country to find him. So I think it's just these guys do show up. I'm not personally super into this guy yet, outside of a few tracks, but that guy Youngblood, who sang Changes at the Ozzy farewell, he's a young guy. He's got a couple albums, and his solo. His actual stuff isn't for me, but his Changes cover is great. So I feel like it's one of those things where it's when you get to your more ballady stuff when you're a little bit older, we might hit. But there's guys that be coming around. Matty Gunner, I'd be saying a lot. Yeah, check out Warner.
He is. No, Tully's asked this question of me in another place, and I think it was a more specific question to rock music. Tully left it open here. I agree with Tully in a sense, but I have to be honest and be the music I'm listening to now in the rock and the alternative scene is definitely more female, or with Last Dinner Party. Let's make sure we're clear about non-binary driven kind of artists. Yeah. So I'm in that Last Dinner Party. I'm in the Gaga and Chapel World too, but also the Beaches out of Toronto. The Blame Brett song catapulted them to a level of stardom that's hard. It's hard to say what is a level of stardom in music, because it's not like the old days. They are fantastic as a band. I am a local-ish artist that I think the world should know more about, and she's been doing it for a very long time across many different genres. Is Jessie Peo from the band Pom Poms, kind of her work there, and she's great. I play her a lot on Pop Rocket Radio. Just amazing. She's just a rock star that in another era would have been on top of the world, but that era doesn't exist for any of us anymore. Kath Myers, in terms of singer-songwriter. Child Seat, which is this 80s retro band that is multi-gendered, but it has it's female fronted, and I'm in that world to the point where I kind of agree with Tully for this, but I'm just not seeing it. But also, they're doing more. Those bands I've just mentioned and many, many, many others. Just listen to Pop Rock and Radio, and you will see who Ken has a crush on this week based on the songs I'm playing, including even late stage Slater Kenny. There's some amazing stuff there. Put a bird on it. Just some of the men are just a little more boring. A lot of the new artists that come out a little more boring.
Yeah, and they there's some that I just haven't checked out that I can't speak to. Turnstile being shouted out. Young Odo says Turnstile. Shout out Baltimore. Maddie Gunner also Turnstile. People really like Turnstile. Haley Williams, I know, showed up at one of their shows recently. They're friends. I haven't listened to a lot of them yet. There's a newer band that I saw on Instagram. It got suggested to me that I was having some uncle-nephew bonding time with my oldest nephew, Rylan, about. Called The Paradox, which is a all-black pop-punk band from Atlanta. And it was really cool to share that with him, because my nephew, for those of you that don't know, Shocking as it may be looking at me, my nephew is black. So it's sometimes there's like that cultural divide of just like his experience and my experience. And he, is getting into a lot of stuff I got into, like Invader Zim and like different, superheroes and like Hot Topic shit. And like, but, there's that thing about being black that he's already experiencing where it's like, oh, can that be for me? And so finding this band was really cool because it's like all the kids in it look like him. And so it's like that representation factor that really matters. And they're good. Really, really fun. Yeah. And they feel like they have like that they would have belonged, during the rise of Fall Out Boy and things like that. But, okay. Got some more. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's a deeper conversation, but it is tragically fascinating that if you see black artists in the rock genre or even close to it, or even like a bass player in a band, there's sometimes this reaction of like, oh, interesting, when it's like, yeah, it should only be black artists in rock music.
Yeah.
There.
You mean the music they invented?
There should just be the bass player for Spin Doctors back in the day. It should be everyone. Shouldn't just be Hootie.
It should not shock living color. Are black. Producer Steve, love this question. Music makes me sad. Music makes me sad, but I'm happy for you. Steve, what the hell?
He's got. We're not making fun of Steve here. He's a hardworking man. He's got what my former fiance has and some other people in my life have, which is music dredges up or affects them in such an emotional way that they don't want that. So where you've said I am, like I wrote that song "Good to Bleed" on the Moonagers EP. Yeah. Listen to the lyrics. Yeah. It's an emotional, unaliving attempt. There, YouTube.
Yeah.
About how I want the music to be sadder and sadder and sadder, because that's what I like to feel. Steve and others I know are in the other camp where they're like, I got enough emotions.
Yeah.
So I like that.
So Steve only listens to, if you're watching, Steve, do you curate like happy music? Do you curate like dance music? Like, I'm curious how you approach it, especially having kids. He asks, if you could take a pill and learn one instrument, what would you pick? Thank you for your attention to this matter. I appreciate the thank you for your attention to this matter. One of the only genuinely
thank you for smoking
things from our president. That's how he's been signing off his Truth Social posts, everyone. In case you did not understand the joke there. If you could take a pill and learn any instrument, what would you learn?
Guitar, man. Extend the cock, man. Guitar. I tried. I got close. I learned like the E and the G and maybe a part of a C. Like I was there in 1996, man. I wanted to be a rock star, man. And I can't sing, I can't do much, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna learn guitar. And I had my finger exercises down, and that's about as far as I got. And I just got that voice in my head that said, you can't do this, and I never did it again. So I am fascinated by anyone who can play a musical instrument, but guitar is pretty damn awesome. It is great for a reason.
No, I agree. I think ultimately I do think that my answer is probably guitar or bass guitar. But yeah, I also did that too. I dabbled. We had a garage band in high school called Nowhere Fast, which I maintain is a good band name.
I think it's a good band.
And we just played like, shitty little covers of songs. And I just learned the songs like via tabs or like, by my friend explaining to me how to do rhythm guitar parts and things like that. But yeah, I'd love to be good at guitar or bass guitar. Bass guitar, I would love to be good at just because it's unsung, unappreciated, and so important. And like a great bass player can be so incredible when you watch
slap that bass.
A little solo. Slap it a bass. Kingsport Cal says, what music artist death hit you the most? I mean, Ozzy just now was really rough.
Yeah, George Harrison for me. That was a tough day walking up to work. Someone told me as I walked into work at 6 a.m, went onto the top of the mall parking structure and cried for a very long time. Not even close.
Yeah,
Everyone else, not even close.
I have not. I'm fortunate in that I have not been there yet with a musician, but it's obviously coming. Like it comes for us all. That generation of artists, they're getting up there. I'm sure it'll happen down the road. But Yeah, I remember when the Rev died, Jimmy Sullivan, also known as the Rev, who's the original drummer for Avenged Sevenfold, which is a band that I love. That was rough. That was like grieving on MySpace. That was sad posting on MySpace when the Rev passed. Definitely the greatest drummer of his generation. Just you listen to those drum parts, especially if you can find them isolated, it's like bananas. And then Addie, we'll end on Addie's here. I am paying real money, real money, USD, to bring Taylor Swift into this conversation. She's been in the comments the whole time. Taylor has been discussed a lot by you all. Yeah, the ththing with Taylor Swift, I shout out to Liv, who sometimes watches. I don't know if she's here today, but Liv, my good friend, who's wonderful, gave me like the Taylor Swift starter playlist, maybe even 2 of them that I listen to. I've done the deep dives. I've dated a couple of Swifties. I've listened to a lot of the albums. Not the last few. I think 1989. I think was when I was last like keenly aware. I will say, I'm not an outright hater. Do I hate some of the culture around it a little bit? But that's just because I don't like that. I don't like some of that, regardless of the topic. The like the obsessive standing, the like my person is above reproach, just that weirdness. It just so happens that it's her. It could be anyone of that stature.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
But as a human, she seems sweet. As a musician, she's very talented. Like I think Back to December is her best song and is one of the best sad, emotive songs that of the 2000s, 2010s, 2000s, I think. I think that song's incredible. I think, she's chill and she's friends with my future wife Alana, so I'm gonna have to, get down.
We did talk about Haim.
We haven't talked about Haim. Oh, that's so true. A9 Forever says Alden wouldn't be into K-pop. I didn't think so, but then I got really into K-pop Demon Hunters. Been bumping that soundtrack, so maybe there's a future there. Haim just did a walk around the forum. You did not go to the Haim walk.
Yeah, I missed Gaga there by a couple days, and I missed them on the other end by a couple days.
So I don't mean a concert. I mean,
they did a walk. They did a walk.
They literally just walked.
Yeah. Yep.
They're doing a concert, I think, later this year. Taylor Swift thoughts, Ken, if you haven't.
I'm a Taylor fan, and less about the music. There's a couple songs of hers that I would know and would be familiar with. A lot of them off the '89 album. I was on the other side of like, who's this? And then again, you start to learn, and yeah, there's a lot of things around her. It's not her, it's the surrounding hoopla. But 100 million Swifties can't be wrong at this point for me. But also, I think at the end of the day, like she does good, does try to do good, and I appreciate what she does, and I do think she's talented. That's one of the things too. It's like she's talented. She's always had great people around her for sure, but like it generates from her. She does feel very real and organic to me as an artist, despite being what she is, being a corporation. Like I'm on board. So I'm with you. I'm rooting for her and Travis. Those crazy kids, gorgeous kids.
I have no opinion on Travis Kelce outside of the fact that it was very brave of him to admit that he doesn't read well. And that sounds like I'm shitting on it, but I genuinely mean like if I couldn't read well, you would not be able to waterboard that information out of me. And he just admitted it. He admitted that he couldn't read. And it's like, but I guess when you're handsome, athletically gifted, on top of your game, and with the most famous woman on earth, those are the types of things that you're allowed to just admit. Like they can't hurt you. Who cares? Who cares if you can't read? Like it's just so, that's my final note on Taylor Swift. Her future husband can't read, but that's okay because you don't need to be able to read the lyrics to sing along.
No, just sing, baby. Just sing. Just
sing your heart out, Travis. That's what we're gonna end on here. Travis Kelce, if you are listening, sing your heart out and marry her. Marry her, Travis.
I think it'll happen.
People thought that he was gonna propose at the Super Bowl, and then they lost.
They lost, yeah.
And I don't think there was a plan, and then he pulled the plug when they lost. I don't think that. But the idea of that is very funny. The idea of him having the ring losing the Super Bowl and then signaling to somebody that it's off.
He's got one more coming back for one more season at least. So yeah, he'll get through this. And I think when he's done with football, if there's still an item, I think it'll happen.
Yeah, we're gonna get the Taylor Swift proposal when we get the third and final Mando and Grogu trailer, and it's gonna overshadow Grogu, and I'm gonna be very pissed off about Taylor overshadowing my son. Thank you all for a little bit of a longer episode. We did this in-depth music conversation, and note. Not one time did we have to talk about songs we don't like. What's your least favorite song? What artist do you hate?
Not fun.
Not fun. We're above that, and it's not fun to talk
little
about things
above
that you don't
like. But yeah, absolutely.
We're pinkies up.
Pinkies up. I got a live show at 2, Force Center. If you want to pop over there, everybody, we'll be doing talking about the Summer of Hope. Superman, Fantastic Four, Star Wars. No, appreciate it. Good stuff, buddy. I love talking music. And sorry I repeat some of the drunken old man stories, but it's been part of my life for so long. Great questions. Good stuff. We should do it again.
We should.
Do it again.
And we will. With guests.
Thanks for watching. Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Travis Kelce.
Thanks for listening. Travis Kelce. Thanks for liking the video, leaving comments, all those things later on. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you next time here on the little show we do called Anytime with Ken and Alden. Bye.